This empty chair represents the addict who died today, not knowing recovery was possible.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of The Empty Chair for the Addict Who Didn't Know Recovery Was Possible. I am honored and blessed to have my sister in Christ, Lisette, on the show tonight, and I'm so looking forward to hear her testimony and talk deep about recovery. You know, that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. So welcome to the show tonight. Tonight's show is dedicated to Mark Zaracket, who passed away in 2021. Tomorrow would have been his 56th birthday. And this is my second year of him not being in my life since seventh grade. And my birthday is Monday, so I'm Sunday. So I'd always say, tease him that he was always older than me. So he's missed by me. He's missed by Jim Garrity and many other people that loved him through his addiction. And he was just one that just couldn't get it. And he is definitely missed. So tonight's show is for him. I just want to say thank you to Officer Danny Sinclair from Newburyport Police Department and the Essex County Outreach Team for allowing me to share our overdoses. For me, it's important to keep everyone updated on what's going on in the community. So currently, since January 1st, we've had 991 overdoses in Essex County. And of those 991 overdoses, 103 were fatal. In the Merrimack Valley, because MVP ASAP is Methuen, Lawrence, North Andover, Haverhill, and Methuen. Lawrence has had 311 overdoses with 26 fatalities. Methuen has had 49 with 7. North Andover has 19 overdoses with 2 fatals. And Haverhill 97 with 6 fatals. So just in that community. Andover doesn't report. We don't know if they don't have addiction in the Andover. They don't report. So together in those 4 cities right there is 476 overdoses and 41 resulting in death. And these are only numbers of the overdoses that we know about that police officers or fire have responded to. There are many other overdoses that are happening that we're not aware of because people carry Narcan now. So just to give you the numbers and also to remind everyone that's why we do this show. We want people to know that there's hope, that there's a way out. And so it's really important that we keep this broadcast alive and the conversation about addiction alive. So those are my numbers. Before I start, I always want to thank everyone that makes this possible. As you folks that are tuning in, you'll see the banners at the bottom. These are the sponsors that have helped this show go on. They purchase their advertisement there, which it's a win-win because people can see the advertisement, but also the money that they give us for that goes into a pool. So if someone needs sober living or assistance, we're able to scholarship them. So we're very blessed for Bob and Andrea Surrett of Alternative Healthcare, Atkinson Flooring. Big shout out to Sid Harris and Discovering Methuen, Enterprise Bank, both Methuen and Andover. We love Cheryl. Essex County Outreach, again, which is Officer Donnie Sinclair. Essex Flooring, which is Fred Orazio. Greater Lawrence Family Health Center. The Haven of Hope, which is a woman's Christian-based sober home right here in Methuen. Harold Magoon, who was our guest last month. He's from Lawrence Methuen Community Coalition. He's a big supporter of me and Phil and what we do, and I truly appreciate him. Thank you to Matt Simpson from Meta Addiction Services, which is now located here in Haverhill. Title Boxing North Andover. A big shout out to Lauren McCauley and Patrick Kelly. They hosted a boxing event for us every year. It's to decrease the stigma attached to it. And this year they raised $6,700 for us, which was pretty amazing. Thank you to R&R Welding and Fabrication. They are one of our newest people that have jumped on board, and we appreciate it. And as always, thank you to Costa Broadcasting and the best producer behind the window that you guys don't see, which is Lou Blassie. We love Lou. Just for upcoming events, we have the first Monday of the month at the Methuen Police Department. We do Narcan distribution, and that runs from 6 to 6:30. So that will be this coming Monday. Maybe not. I'm at a training, so I don't know if I'll be back. I will post it on Facebook. If you go to the CARES Facebook or mine, you will see it. For this year, for my birthday, I'm raising money on Facebook for MVP ASAP, and I'm already at $435 that was given on Facebook, and that was raised by Norman Vermette, which Norman Vermette and myself, we were the high school clowns in 1985. And the picture in our yearbook of him and I is priceless. So thank you, Norman, if you're listening. A big shout out to Cindy Berea, who is my soul sister. She is my pastor's wife, and I just appreciate it. Again, Sid Harris and Phil Leahy, always my number one supporters. Jessica Finicaro, Rhoda May Latori, Marco Albanese, who was just on the show last month as well, Diane Cretion, Debbie Poole, and Dan Trafficanti. Within that group right there, I've raised $435, but I also got a phone call from Essex County and Newburyport Police Department, and they gave me $1,200 towards this. So I am just so appreciative. It's still open up until December 12th. So if you feel like giving, please do. And just sit. I'm very humbled and very blessed by that. So weekly happenings, Monday evenings, we have the Circle of Hope, which is ran by Phil and Fran Leahy. It's at the Methuen Police Department, 6:30 to 7. 6:30 to 8. I don't know why I wrote 7. There's daily meetings at the Ray of Light Recovery Cafe in Haverhill. Have you gone there yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sweet. There's Celebrate Recovery, which is a Christian-based 12-step program in Lawrence and Haverhill. If you want information on that, you can reach out to Diana Teal. And if you're looking to have some fun, like, just fun and exercising, we have aerobics at the Methuen Police Department on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. It's from 5:30 to 6:30. It is so fun. We are from ages, I don't know, maybe 20 to 80 that go. You work at your own pace. The first class is free, and then after that, it's $10. So anyone that wants to sweat off some pounds, come and have some fun. We would love to have you there. And I think that's what I have for events. I'm going to go over the resources at the end of the show to make sure that everyone knows about where they can go for recovery. So I think with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to you to tell us a little bit about yourself, and I'm dying to hear your testimony.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's really, really great to be here. I really appreciate the invitation. I'm really, really blessed to be here. It's by all means, I really should not, and I think about where I've come from in 6 years. My sobriety date's July 12th, 2016. And I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
I'm very grateful you wear a New York cap here. And when I saw that in your bio, I go, if she shows up wearing New York clothing.
I got a little spiffy, it's the holidays.
I love that. Yeah, but not the New York hat. I'd be like,
Yeah, I left the hoops at home, but I'm a fan. I'm New York through and through, Timberlands and hoops all the way.
All right. What's the bigger the hoop?
The bigger the hope.
Yes.
The bigger the hope.
Thank you.
Oh, that's good. They say that you can take the Brooklyn out of the girl out of Brooklyn.
Yeah,
you can't take the Brooklyn out of the girl.
No way.
That's true. I've definitely cleaned up. But growing up in Brooklyn, it was really nice. I actually grew up in a predominantly Puerto Rican neighborhood.
Yep.
And we used to have like large block parties where they closed off the whole street, and we would do pig roast. Oops, sorry. We would do like pig roast, and 4th of July we did firecrackers all the way down the block. And I remember having a lot of fond memories. It was also like the 80s and the 90s. I might be aging myself a little.
Yeah.
So there was also like a lot of like gangs too. So I saw a lot of stuff really quickly. I don't recall like ever going out to purposefully like drink or drug. It just kind of innocently happened. I was pretty young. I was 10 years old. And I always think of that whenever I come across the whole, what came first, the chicken or the egg? It's a choice. It's not a choice. And, I don't even entertain these ideas a lot of the times because I know my experience, and my experience is I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of an education anyone has at 10 years old to understand that what you're about to do is going to ruin your whole life.
Yeah.
But, I was 10, and it was a 22 ounce of beer, St. Ives, in a brown
my
bag. It was so
God.
gross. And we chased it with a bottle of strawberry boons.
Yep.
And it was just so disgusting. I remember thinking, why do adults like this? This is disgusting. But I drank it anyways. And I felt like this experience.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
I just felt relaxed. I felt like I was part of. I remember going up to the triple decker in my apartment in Brooklyn.
Yep.
And I thought when I got up there, I watched a lot of Disney movies. I talk with my hands. Sorry. I thought I was going to see like trees and hills and all these beautiful things. And all I saw was like graffiti and smog. And I was like, ugh, disappointment.
Right.
You know, I couldn't even spell the word.
Yeah.
You know, at that age. But all I knew is when I drank, it took that away. You know, it took it all away.
Yeah.
And I was never like able to identify those emotions so early. So, you know, having that experience from an early age, in hindsight, I can see I was really drinking to cope, you know. But that desire for more never ceased. It never ceased. And even though I was 11 when I had my first run with addiction, it was not with any type of drug yet. It was with candy.
Same here.
Yes.
Sugar was my first thing. Age
Banana
7.
nowalators.
Yeah. M&Ms. M&Ms. You know?
And like I remember getting. All right, so I remember, you know, making my first pharmaceutical sell on the streets, right? I'll put that politely. You know, I didn't know what I didn't know. They used to take this brown paper bag over the 48th Street. I'm like, okay, I didn't know any better. So I took it on over there very innocently. They gave me $5 in paper food stamps.
Yep.
I walked over to the local bodega and I bought a whole box of banana nowalators.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, they're all mine. Ha ha ha. I'm sitting on the stoop stuffing my face.
Yep.
If you want one, you have to come see me. And I'm sugar high, you know? You can't have them. They're mine, mine, mine. And I'll never forget putting my hands in there and feeling around. And it was like, there's no more. There's no more. I need more. There has to be one more. I didn't eat them all. There has to be one more. Like it was an obsession.
Yeah.
It was obsession, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. We had a candy dish that would get filled on Saturdays when my grandmother would come over, and I'm the youngest of 6. So like I would hoard because I didn't want it to ever end, you know, and I didn't get that until I started to go to FA meetings and really started to look at that part of, you know, it was sugar, it was vanilla extract, which is alcohol at age 7, and then it was addiction. But I totally get the candy thing.
Yeah,
sure.
it's just like that desire for more. And you know, today in my recovery, what I have to remind myself is that desire for more, it completely transfers. If I'm not on my spiritual beam, if I'm not careful, I can desire more of, you know, shopping, you know, sexual relationships, validation, you know, food. The list can just go on and on, you know, for the type of person that I am. So I really need to stay like solid in my program, you know. But the nice thing is that it's not work anymore. It transcends, right? And now it's like my passion. I love my life today. So I love talking about recovery.
Nice. Did your mom and dad at age 10 know that you were drinking?
Oh gosh, no.
So how did you hide it from them?
Well,
because that's young.
It is pretty young. And you know, the thing is that I think that there was a lot going on at home, right? You know, so there was a lot of cycles of abuse going on. And when we left Brooklyn, we moved to Lawrence, Massachusetts, you know, and my mom did that very purposefully, you know, for herself, to save herself, you know what I mean? So I don't think there was really any time, you know, when she was in survival mode to even have the hindsight to see what was going on as a kid, you know.
Why'd you pick Lawrence? Do you have family out here?
Yeah, I have some New York family out in Lawrence.
Nice, awesome.
It was still nice because we had like my aunts in the triple decker, my aunts on the 3rd floor, my grandparents were on the 2nd floor, rest their souls, and my mom on the 1st floor. So we like grew up all running up and down the back stairs and stuff. And I guess, you know, I just kind of always felt that desire to, you know, feel like part of something, you know. And I guess me being from New York, when I went to school to Arlington, kind of spread quickly. I had a cousin who already lived there. Oh, that's Mikey's cousin. That's Mikey's cousin. Don't talk to her. I'm like, okay, fine. And but she's from Brooklyn, so she had to be tough. So I had this fake persona to put up. Never mind that I was never bold a day in my life in New York City. My little sister fought my fights for me.
Yeah.
I was not bold until the grace of God came and said, okay, now you'll be bold.
Yes.
But I was always like really scared.
Yeah.
Fear ruled my life, you know. But you know, coming into Lawrence, you know, there was more gang activity in the early 90s, and
Still is.
right, still is, still is.
Yes.
Yeah, I quickly got caught up in that. You know, I quickly got caught up in, you know, other types of narcotics, and you know, I started smoking my alcohol and sniffing my alcohol, and it progresses.
Yeah.
You know, it progresses, and it happens so quickly. I remember being a freshman in high school, and that was when I first started having real issues outwardly with my mental health.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm dual diagnosis, and that's something I always talk about because I feel like it doesn't get mentioned enough, and it's not for everyone, right? Like not everyone has both.
Yep.
But I can say from my experience that was the case. So I hurt myself, you know, and that was the first time I had overdosed, and it was with a whole bunch of over-the-counter medications. It was like with a whole bunch of alcohol in my system. And when I woke up, you know, everybody was glad that I was alive.
Was it your intent? Were you depressed?
No, I didn't know what I didn't know. Like I was just tired. You know, I was like really tired of the things that I had survived already, the abuses I had seen, the gang activity, the fights, just the hood pretty much. I was just tired. You know, so when that happened, it was really not intentional. But I do remember my family telling me that I had asked for Corona and to go to the beach when I woke up.
Of course you did.
You know, real alcoholic.
What high school were you at? Were you at Lawrence High or
no? That was at the Voc. I went to Greater Lawrence Tech.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
I don't even know what the proper name is because now it has like 6 more names. So it's like Greater Lawrence Regional Vocational Technical High School.
Yes, sure. We just called the Voc.
Yeah, it's the Voc. It's the Voc.
Yep. Yeah.
So it was good, you know, to be alive. You know, but again, no one ever said like, oh, I have this thing or I suffer from this too. Like I was the first person in my family, and a lot of stigma was introduced into my life at that time.
I was going to say, because when I do my outreach, it's a culture thing where you folks don't want help. No, we'll deal with it at home.
Right.
And I know disrespect, and that's what I say, because usually it's the mom I'm dealing with, and I'm like, no disrespect, but there is another way to live, you know, and I just wanted to let that your son or daughter know. So why is it such a cultural thing?
You know, I wish I could answer that for all of my culture, but I can definitely say,
is it religious?
No, I think it just has to do with pride. You know what I mean? It's really hard growing up in a system sometimes that has already kind of worked against you, you know, so reaching out for resources that either aren't there, right, you cannot afford, it's just easier to self-medicate and deal with it under the rug. I don't think a lot of people even understand what those mental health issues are, or understand what alcoholism and addiction is,
right,
you know, to identify it. You know, for years I didn't understand half of my feelings until I got sober. And I got sober in my mid-30s. Right. So I just I went with it. You know, it took me.
Amen. Amen.
But it's you know, I definitely was the first person, or maybe the second. I don't know, depending on my uncle's view on that. But regardless, it was like my introduction to pharmaceutical medication. Right. And this is how my addiction grew. You know, I was kind of like in a roundabout doorway, one of those roundabout doors. And it felt like I was always changing my symptoms to get the things that I needed, to get the things that I wanted. And I found a new addiction to money and power. You know, I grew up listening that money, power, and respect are the keys to life. So I'm bumping my Biggie, listening to Little Kim. Again, dating myself here. But I truly believed that, you know, that's what we needed to get out of everything. You know, it started really innocently. Like, I want to eat a sandwich. I want some now-laters. Now it's like, I have to make this. I have to get out of this. And, you know, I just took that stuff, and you learn how to flip things in the street. You learn how to survive. You know, and it was this whole like chameleon thing, you know, like this whole chameleon thing. It was like I was always someone different to get what I needed, you know, 9 to 3 a.m., like p.m. I used to say. I was like class president, I was varsity
Of
of
course
every
you were.
sport I played.
Really?
Completely overachiever.
Yeah.
Played basketball, did cheerleading. I went to Bridgewater for 1 year on a tennis scholarship.
Wow.
I was a super overachiever because I had to hide the shame and the guilt that I was doing these things
Right.
to be like everyone else.
And you never got caught on doing any of your sports being under the influence.
You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure I did, but no one ever said anything.
Right.
You know, I like to think that in hindsight, we always think we're a lot sneakier than what we really are.
Oh, heck yeah. Mhm.
You know? So my mother, oh, bless her soul, like she definitely earns every gray hair on her head. She's a phenomenal woman.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, again, it was that thing that we didn't really talk about it. And because of the mental health stuff and the stigma, I heard more along the lines of, oh, well, she's only 14. What could she possibly have to hate about life? Oh, she just wants attention.
Yeah.
Or, oh, she's too pretty to be angry, you know? And it's like, well, you know, we're human, you know,
Right.
in the inside. We feel
Right.
things too, and we don't know how to express them,
Yeah.
you know? So it was very interesting throughout high school, because I never felt like I was an authentic version of Lisette.
Yep.
I didn't even know who Lisette was, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, adding on some more complex trauma and stuff, it was like my identity was whatever I had to be at the moment.
Yeah.
You know? I went through high school pretty much like that. And I had a great, you know, high school run. I don't think I would do it again. Some people love it. And they were like, I would love to go back. I'm like, no, it was good. It was very stereotypical. Like the jocks were here and the cheerleaders were here.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I can, you know, give that to God.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But, you know, I went to Bridgewater on a scholarship, chasing a boy, you know, got my heart broken. Didn't know how to deal with that emotional damage.
Yes.
You know, enter kegs and eggs.
Yeah.
I could drink from the morning to the evening. It was easier to get like weed and pills and other stuff into the hall at Bridgewater. It was just easier, you know, and nothing against the institution. It's a great college. Yep. I lasted a year, you know. I flunked out pretty much as quick as I got in. I was the first person in my family to go to college, and I was the first person in my family to flunk out. Oh, yeah. It was hard.
Add that to your shame. Yeah.
Well,
definitely.
you know, I definitely don't feel any shame around it now. Amen. I share these things because I am the oldest in my family too.
Yep.
I have 2 younger sisters. I have a beautiful, smart sister, Nicole. She was the first to actually complete college.
Amen.
And she's like an occupational therapist, and she pretty much kicks butt at life.
Awesome.
And I have another younger sister who works with behavioral health. No, it's BBA. Okay. That's what it is. So, you know, I don't feel any shame around it. I know that my experience, you know, probably helped them in some way.
I was going to say,
even
either
if it was
one of them
at the time,
right?
You know, like, and
you
that's
scared
not
them straight and not to you.
Ugh, seriously, like my littlest sister, she definitely saw me run amok. I was like, okay, that's what I don't want to do, probably.
Yeah.
And I, again, it serves a purpose. You know, like my story today helps people identify in a Hispanic culture who might be the oldest daughter, who might be taking on more stuff in the house because people have to work 2 or 3 jobs to survive. You know, I think other people can relate to that. Yeah. We're all just trying to make it.
Yes.
You know,
absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, fast forward a little bit, I came home back to Lawrence, and this is where resentment entered my life, and I didn't know what that was. It was just anger. Everything for me was angry. It was their fault. It was your fault. I'm the victim. For me. And you know, I had a brilliant mind. I still have a pretty brilliant mind. I just sometimes like the discipline wasn't there. Well, back then the alcohol and drugs was there, and I couldn't really maintain money management. I couldn't maintain relationships. I remember starting 2 businesses, and like I ran them to the ground. You know, it's like, where did these thousands of dollars go? You know, and eventually I said, okay, you know what? I know what I need, a clean slate. I'm going to move. You know, I promised myself I would never live in Lawrence longer than I lived in Brooklyn. At the 11th hour, the 11th year, I said, I'm out. I'm going to Virginia.
Okay. Why Virginia?
I chased another man out there.
Of course.
It was love. It was love, you know.
Damn those relationships.
Dang those Disney movies. They really had me screwed up, and they had the old school ones. It was like, I need to be saved. And
yeah.
The new ones are awesome. I love the new Disney stuff. Like, we're all learning from them now. It's pretty cool. But so yeah, I believed in the fantasy deep down inside. I'm a hopeless romantic. I still do a little bit, not blindly like I did before.
Yeah.
But either way, I went to Virginia, took a hostage, did really well out there. Eventually had to move back to Massachusetts. And this is where I pretty much hit like a mental and emotional bottom. I think more mental. I had seen so much of life at that point that I officially was off my rocker, suicidal. And that was a really dark period of my life, because at that point I was self-harming. At that point I was trying to feel anything, because it was like the drugs and the alcohol just didn't suffice anymore. It's very interesting, the progression of the disease, how it changes, how it starts off as like an escape, then it becomes maybe something you need to feel, then it's something you don't want to feel, then something you have to feel. It's pretty fascinating, but it's different for everyone. I can only speak for myself. Either way, after I pretty much did that, it was like jails, institutions, and death. I'm sober by the grace of God, and it's because I maintain a 12-step abstinence-based program.
Amen.
I give all that credit to God.
Yes.
At the time, I was a believer. However, he was a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
And, I lost my faith for a long time.
Yeah.
I lost my faith for a long time. I was like really on my spiritual high horse. Enter the arrogant stage of the ego. The all or nothing thinking. I am everything or I am nothing. I should just die today, or I am the hottest thing ever to live. It's so unbalanced. And it was that way for me. I lost my faith for a long time. I studied all this sacred geometry and spiritual stuff. I read The Secret. I had rocks in my bra, and I was burnt in stage like, I can manifest everything I want.
Right.
And that's not to say that some people might not be able to do that.
Yeah.
I believe in the power of the Holy Spirit. I believe that we can do amazing things.
Yes.
But I don't believe that power is necessarily mine. To each his own. And I like to respect everyone's pathway to recovery. I just kind of laugh at myself. I laugh at how spiritually arrogant I was in a way. And I think laughter kind of to this day really saves my butt. On my social media, I use a lot of memes and humor to laugh at some of the darker things, because it heals.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, laughter.
And if we
heals.
don't laugh at it, we'll be in the fetal position on the floor crying.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I've cried. I've cried plenty. God knows I've cried, and I can laugh today.
Yes.
I'm really grateful for that.
That's awesome. Did you go into treatment? Did you do a detox?
So I went into my last run, went to Anna Jake's. I actually got sections, so I technically didn't.
Who sectioned you?
One of my exes. I should say, it was bad.
So it wasn't mom, because at this point she's still just not even acknowledging.
My poor mother, like I said, she couldn't get a rein on me. You know what I mean? I was wild. I just was not. I would come home late. It just, she earned every gray hair on her head. I love you, Mom.
Do you have kids?
I do not. I
do
not.
Because that's where, like, I didn't have a kid, because my mother kept on saying, may you have one just like you. And I'm like, instant birth control. Not
really
even going to do it.
Control.
Yes. A mini you? Could you handle it?
I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could. And honest to goodness, I'm completely content not having children.
Me too.
I know it's not like a popular thing in society, but I feel like there's so many children in homes that need adoptions and need love. And I've always had the urge to adopt.
Yeah.
So I'll have a family in a non-traditional way.
Amen. Amen. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
So Anna Jake's, was that your very first detox? Did you?
No, I had detoxed a couple times before that, not really realizing. The psych ward was like my best friend.
Okay.
I was so sick. I thought that was like a vacation. I was like, let me go in there to the place where they have the good snacks.
Yes.
And I'll just spin dry it out. I didn't believe I was an alcoholic and an addict.
Wow.
I did not. Not even when I came back into the halls when I was like 34, I think. My math is all wrong, but like I still like the first few months I didn't think I was an alcoholic, like or an addict. I was like,
I used to cross my fingers. So if you
Mhm.
tell a lie, you're not in trouble when your fingers are crossed. And I'd sit in AA meetings and I'd go, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. And in my head, I'd be like, I'm not. I pulled it over on them, because I didn't want to be,
Yeah.
That was the last thing I wanted to be.
No one comes into any detox saying, I want to be an addict,
Yeah.
like I want to suffer.
Yep.
We usually, it's just like death, A lot of rock bottoms it looked like death for me. There are some high bottom drunks, right, that I've had the pleasure of getting to see recover and work with.
Yeah.
I am a recovery coach,
Amen.
trained, and I'm a few hours away from my license.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because they don't have the CCAR books in Spanish.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Because we were looking.
That's not fair.
Not at all. So I reached out to
Yeah.
the gentleman in Gloucester.
Mm-hmm.
What's the guy's name?
I'm not a name person. I'm a face person. Steve?
Steve, the guy who works with
Steven.
Steve.
Okay.
So he's Spanish
Mhm.
speaking.
Mhm.
So I reached out to him and I'm like, how can we, like, our Spanish population needs recovery coaches. And he said, yeah, he goes, I would consider doing it, but they'd have to come to Gloucester. And I'm like, wait, how are we going to get Lawrence people up to Gloucester? And I'm like, so we'll think about it. But then I reached out for the books and they're not in Spanish. So basically you're telling me not one Spanish speaking person who only speaks Spanish and reads Spanish can become a recovery coach.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's a bummer because I believe, I mean, even though the numbers that I have are different for nationalities and stuff like that, that just blew my mind. I'm like, see, why wouldn't they put the books in Spanish? So I did find Peer Choices through Ginger.
Okay. I love Ginger. Yeah. I took my first CCAR with her in New Hampshire. I lived out in New Hampshire.
All right, so me too. I went through hers in Seabrook. At the library, I think we had it. So I reached out to her and she said, I can do Peer Choices, which is Christian based. She's like, I can do it in Spanish and we have the books in Spanish. So I presented that to a few people in Lawrence to say, if there's a bunch of Spanish people that want to do this, like chop. Let's get them on the streets with us.
I'm actually brushing up on my Spanish, like as we speak. I'm not fluent in the language, but there's a lot I do know. I can have a basic conversation, but as far as like harm reduction, names and things like that, and like the tools, I'm actually studying up on it because I said to myself, this is ridiculous. Like, and this is not to say this is just one person's, my view here. It's an epidemic. It's a pandemic. It's huge. It's so huge right now, and it always has been where I'm from. It has always been an issue in the hood where all of us colored folks are living. It is much more prevalent now and getting much more attention because I think it's reaching a different socioeconomic and demographic. And this is kind of a little bit of proof of that. We have all the supports in English, but where are they for the other languages? I know. Not just Spanish. So this is good to know. This is something that I can definitely build and pray off of. For sure.
And help advocate and whatever I can do to make it happen, because I was like, that's just.
And it's such a good class. It's awesome? CCAR is awesome.
Really is.
Ended up taking it again in Massachusetts because I relocated from New Hampshire to Massachusetts. To do the Massachusetts one, and that's why I met Tito. That's what I was
trying to think of.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm like, Gloucester. He can speak Spanish.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And Michelle is awesome. Michelle
I went to college with Michelle.
Cool beans.
And when I see her, I kick myself in the butt because we all graduated from Leslie, and everyone's like, "Oh, let's finish our masters." I'm like, I'm tapping out. And then when I saw how fast she did it, I went, I wish I would have stayed. I wish I would have stayed.
Never too late.
Financially, I'm not doing it.
You know
what?
Sense.
That student loan? Yeah. No, thank you.
I've been ducking and dodging the student loans myself, getting certification and license after license and certification here. But it's like, all right, Lisette, get something. You need something.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel that.
Absolutely.
I redid the CCAR with them, and it was fantastic. And that's actually how I got plugged into CORE. And it's been a crazy journey. It really has been a crazy journey. The CCAR in New Hampshire, though, I did enjoy it because Ginger went over things like suicide prevention, which I think is really important, being dual diagnosis. And we lightly touched on it in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that co-occurring thing is so common,
Yeah.
right? And I wish we could also see some more mental health advocacy as well as addiction.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so we take the drink and the drug away. People have detox. Now they're coming face to face
Yeah.
with reality, their emotions. They don't even know what they are.
Right.
And they're completely suicidal. They're off their rocker. That's
Right.
where I was at like 2 years sober.
Yeah.
I checked myself in with the grace of God, and very, very strong women in my recovery program. They helped me go to what's that place in Belmont? Can't even think of it.
McLean's.
McLean.
Yeah, best hospital ever.
Yes, it
for
was such a
Massachusetts.
gift.
Yep.
It was such a gift. Brushed up on some skills, came back out, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be okay.
Right.
You know, and by the grace of God, I haven't had any mental health symptoms in like
Amen.
5 years.
Amen.
You know, to be clean and sober and
Yep.
free of mental health symptoms, it
Yep.
blows my mind.
Right.
You know, it just, I don't know. I'm sitting here thinking about it now, like, whoa, it's bananas.
And did you use any type of medication assisted treatment?
When I first got out, I did use Vivitrol.
You did.
And I kept it very, very secret
Yep.
because there was a lot of stigma, you
Yeah.
know, and there's still is
Vivitrol, there's
sometimes.
no stigma.
Yeah,
I think
not
there's
as much.
stigma
Yeah.
on the methadone and the Suboxone.
Yeah, don't even
Yes.
get me started on methadone and Suboxone. I think it's just in the abstinence-based world.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
A lot of people have a lot of opinions, but at the end of the day, they weren't paying my bills or putting food on my plate.
Yep.
So I
Yes.
just kept it moving, but I got off of that like 3 or 4 months in. So that was the closest I came to it, but I didn't have to be on anything else like that.
So Vivitrol, we support.
Mhm.
I support MVP ASAP. We all support and everything. So for 2023, this is just going to start throwing people off the bus.
Uh-huh.
I've been doing a lot of research on ibogaine,
Mhm.
mushrooms,
Mhm.
and items like that
Mhm.
because in 3 days you can be off of Suboxone.
Wow.
In 3 days you can be off of methadone
Mm-hmm.
by doing this ibogaine treatment.
Mhm.
So in 2023, I'll be hosting events, and I'm bringing in
Wow.
the first 2 clinicians are coming in to discuss the brain, and then 2 months later,
Mhm.
I'm going to have clinicians coming in on that, and then I want clinicians to come in to talk about EMDR because that really helped me. It really did.
EMDR is huge.
And because I'm so sick of everyone just being, it's either methadone or Suboxone. It's first of all, it's abstinence, but I get the
Mhm.
monkey that they're using. It's the devil.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot stronger than anything I've ever put up my nose. I look at people trying to come off of fentanyl, and I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't know if I could do it.
Mhm.
I'm so blessed that this wasn't around in the 80s, or I wouldn't be here. Like this
The
came
detox
out.
from fentanyl and Suboxone it's almost harder in some respects. I
Yeah.
have friends who don't have a quality of life they
Yeah.
probably could have.
Yeah.
And I feel, and this is just again my opinion, it's temporary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor though. Like what the heck
Right.
do I know?
Right.
So at the end of the day, I really try to keep an open mind, and I'm very interested to hear more, or look up more about the how do you say this?
That's what I'm talking about.
The
Ibogaine.
psychedelics
That's
and stuff.
So that's
so
what
curious.
I'm going to be
Yeah.
doing. I'm doing all kinds of projects in 2023.
Mhm.
And I know I'm not going to be liked because we know methadone and Suboxone make money. It makes clinics money.
Right.
I've
Mhm,
already
mhm.
started talking about it, and I can see people going, "You're what?" I'm like, "Yeah," because if an individual can't get off something
Mhm,
because it's that bad,
mhm.
you got to give them something else.
Mhm.
So let's just
Yeah, and
navigate through
let's
this.
not sprinkle
And
sugar
it's
on crap.
temporary
Mhm.
for that.
It's the problem also with the Suboxone and the other it's really pushed by the pharmaceutical companies.
Correct, which is follow the chain, follow the
It's-
money.
Yeah, and it's
that's what it is.
continuing a broken cycle.
So the woman who, Dr. Deborah Marsh,
Mhm.
she went to when the Vietnam vets were coming home and they
Mhm.
all had that PTSD.
Mhm,
She's like, and they were all on methadone. She's like, oh, this isn't going to help them.
mhm.
So she went to the FDA and she said, I came up with this thing. I really think it's going to work. It's called ibogaine.
Mhm,
So the FDA goes, boom, here is all this money.
mhm.
Let's see if it works. She ran her studies and it worked. It was saving lives. They were coming off of methadone. By day 3,
Mhm.
if you saw the pictures of what they looked like on day 1 and day 3, you'd be like, that's not them. like stop messing with
Yeah.
me. And then so she went back with all her data to the
Mhm.
FDA and she said, check this out. And they said, you know what? We're not
Mhm.
going to fund you anymore.
Oh,
And it was
wow.
because it worked.
Mhm.
So she started
Not
her own
shocked.
company, and
Mhm.
it's out in Miami.
Okay.
But all of this started out in Mexico.
Yeah.
So I've
Mhm.
been reaching out to her. I've been doing a lot of research on my own, reaching out to
Mhm.
individuals. I had posted last month on Facebook. If
Mhm.
you used this type of treatment to help you, please private message me. I want to have conversations because
Mhm.
one, I want people to start talking more openly about it. You
Mhm.
can't get addicted to it. It's not an addicting thing.
Okay.
And what it does do is it resets the brain. So, and it goes
Ah.
back to that point of when you're trauma. I believe that people become addicts because trauma is the first thing. It's not pot. It's not, it's
Mhm.
trauma.
Yeah, I'm a yes, I believe that too. I'm a believer of that too.
Resets the
Yeah.
brain. You go
Mhm.
back to that time
Mhm.
with clinicians, with doctors,
Mhm.
and you heal and you
Mhm.
come back a total different person. And then they
Nice.
don't want to use. So I don't,
Mhm.
I'm just like
Yeah.
so into this. I'm like looking, I just watched the, a movie called Dosed.
Mhm.
So it's a
Mhm.
documentary on that woman who's
Mhm.
going through it, and it's basically what I'm
Wow.
speaking of. So you
Mhm.
have that. Nicole Kidman did a Netflix series
I
on it, which
remember that. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
and I didn't know what it was when they were doing it. I'm like, what are they doing? And I'm like, oh my god, they're doing the ibogaine. They're doing a mushroom. They're doing that
Mhm.
whole reset the brain. So I'm looking
Indigenous cultures
forward.
have been using these medicines for years.
Yes.
The brain in the human body has an incredible power to heal.
Yes.
You know, we're just
Yes.
kind of stuck in a cycle of money and power.
Yes, big
Tale as old as
time.
time.
So you're keeping someone trapped by
Mhm.
giving them these two things and keeping them trapped. You're keeping them on mass health. You're keeping them
Mhm.
not working. Really, like I just visualize this whole facility of just
Mhm.
trying to do this. Still have to do your 30-day treatment. Like it's just like
Yeah.
you're not done treatment.
Mhm.
And then another 30 days. And then at the end, like I want a job fair. I
Mhm.
want
Mhm.
people to fill out applications and let's go to work
Mhm.
and become the men and women that God so intended us to
Yes.
be, you know?
Yes.
So
Mhm.
my for
Mhm.
2023 MVPA SAP, our thing is heal the brain and the body will follow.
Yes.
So that's kind of like
I
my
love that.
theme. So I have a lot
Yes.
of doctors and I'm doing a lot of
Mm.
work on this because it's just
Yeah, we need to find ways to heal the brain. Change your thinking, change your life, right? When
Yes.
we pray and we meditate,
Yes.
it's been shown that the
Yes.
neurons physically move, they heal.
Correct.
It's like
Are
so
you familiar with
amazing.
Dr. Amen?
I am not.
All right. So Dr. Amen, I went to, well, I've followed him for many years.
Okay.
Actually met him at Saddleback Church in
Oh, cool.
Rick
Okay.
Warren's church.
Yeah,
And he is the one it's all about the brain. So you can get brain
Mhm.
scans to see, I think there's 6 different types of brains
Mhm.
and these scans. And basically he heals us from addiction and everything by
Mhm.
using vitamins and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So
Yeah. That's awesome. God gave us brilliant doctors, brilliant scientists, and the
Yes.
opportunity to study the brains and stuff like that. If we have the opportunity, if we have the finances, if we have the
Yes.
resources for it.
Yes.
The idea that you're creating these resources
Yes.
is really
So
exciting.
guess where
really
guess what
exciting.
the events are held at?
Where?
The Vogue.
Oh, get out of
Yes.
here.
So they've been allowing MVPA SAP to use them.
Yeah.
So it's going to be in either January or February. It's on
Oh, I
always
can't wait.
always on a
Mhm.
Saturday. It's
Mhm.
10 to 12. I typically bring in law enforcement from the community to
Mhm.
talk to everyone to say where are you at with overdoses. Like they
Yeah,
would
yeah.
report this, not me. And
Mhm.
then introduce any of the new individuals who are in state roles or
Mhm.
politicians that are new.
Mhm.
And then we would do an event where I already have 2 women, Mary Valfalita and Denise, and I can't say her last name because I don't know how to pronounce. Well, it's just a funky last name. I'd have to look at it. So I've been meeting with them on Zoom, and I'm getting ready to present to the board to say
Mhm.
like, this is what they're going to do. Talk about the brain because
Yeah, yeah.
your body will follow. And if you
Mhm.
watch Dosed, you'll
Mhm.
see that
Mhm.
her body starts following what her brain just did.
Mhm.
So it's just
It makes sense.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's pretty another way to look at it.
It is.
I'm sad to see my friends' children, zombies. And like,
Mhm.
what kind of
Yeah.
life is that?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then I'm like, well, who am I to judge? Maybe they're happy in that life. Well, they can still have it, but at least I
Mhm.
want to say that I'm going down to say that I just brought this to everyone's attention and planting seeds.
I've definitely been on both ends of the spectrum where I was overly medicated, kind of like a shell of a person, and then I've been on the other end of the spectrum where there was nothing at all. It would have been really great if there was a middle in between there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It would have been
absolutely.
really nice. And, you know, it's kind of cool that we're talking about that for the future because
Yeah.
we're having these conversations.
Yes, we
So
are.
we're a lot more open-minded, and that's why I'm a huge proponent for harm reduction.
Yes.
You know, I'm a huge proponent for harm reduction. I'm a huge proponent for Narcan. I'm a huge,
Yes.
at CORE, we keep kids,
Yep.
you know, and we give them to people.
Yeah.
And like, it's really important to meet people where they're at the
Right.
end of the day. You know what I mean? Really meet people where they're at. And if someone comes to me and says, you know, Lisette, I'm desperate, I only want to smoke 3 rocks a day, I'm like, all right, cool. And let's
Meet you where you're at.
let's do this. Let's
Yep.
figure this out together. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Because I don't want to read your obituary tomorrow.
Right.
You know, we're just losing people
Yeah.
left and right. And as much as I love my abstinence-based program,
Yep.
I am in love with recovery as
Me
a whole.
too.
I'm in love with seeing people do better for themselves and the
Yep.
light turn on in their eyes.
Yeah.
It's the reason I do this every day. You know,
Nice.
that's definitely why I get up.
So we're not taking a break. We're going straight through.
Cool
But I
beans.
want it because you keep talking about CORE.
Yeah.
So can you tell me what CORE is?
Sure. So
where is it?
it's
How
in
would someone
Gloucester.
learn about it? Yes.
Yeah, so CORE is in Gloucester, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
It's CORE is the peer-run recovery center and resource center, and we just opened like a month ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's a BSAS funded facility.
Amen.
So we're pretty much there to offer educational workshops, social sober events.
Yeah.
I'm the program coordinator there, so I
Yes.
get the opportunity to work with the peers out there. So if you have a passion or a group or an interest, you know, I can put my information and reach out to me, and we
Yeah.
can work together to get a meeting started or a group started or a workshop started.
Nice.
And it's one peer person working with another, because
Yeah.
that's the magic of the peer support recovery model.
Yes.
You know, it takes one to know one, teach one to reach one.
Yep.
So I'm a huge fan of it. It's been really awesome working there. Really awesome.
So you said it's Monday through Friday?
Yep. So we're open Monday through Saturday, actually. So Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll open till 8.
Yeah.
Mondays till 6. Wednesday and Friday till 5 p.m. But on Mondays, we have our member meeting, and that's at 4 p.m. So come join us on Monday at 11-15 Parker Street in Gloucester, Mass.
You'll be
It's
able
a
to
huge
put it-
building.
You'll be able to put it all in here so that we
look at
have
everyone
it.
with the
Yeah,
comments.
absolutely. All right, well, let's read some of these. So there's Phil Leahy, Terry Morano. Oh, hold on, I gotta scroll up. We got some. So hi, Kathy, I love you. Hi, Tommy. Hi, and Cole, remind everyone that the show will be December 22nd with Doug and Aaron. Yes, we were all over that, Phil. Hi, Cole. Oh, there's Phil. Terry's watching. Hi, Terry. Oh, my God, Paul's on.
Oh, Stephen. Hey, Stephen.
There you go. Diane Smith, so nice to hear that you're a recovery coach. I had one, but I stopped talking with her. Oh, recovery coach. Yeah, but I need to get another one in New Hampshire, but northern New Hampshire.
All right, network.
What is this all about? 3 days I can be off of methadone. Really? Do tell. Oh, Diane, just follow me on Facebook, honey. I'm doing all this work. I'm doing reaching out to doctors to find out how to help individuals. Although when I noticed on Dose, now that you said that, they were saying that methadone, they would have to switch over to another drug before they could come off of it. Morphine. They had to do morphine because you can die coming off of methadone with putting ibogaine in. So
interesting.
yeah, Diane, follow me on Facebook, send me a private message, and I'll keep you posted on all of the information. Ibogaine is in clinical trials as we speak, currently illegal in the U.S. to possess. That is correct. So it's Mexico that we go to. However, ibogaine is Stephen Smirnon in Florida with Dr. Deborah Mash, and you can check her out and what she has to write about it. So I continue to do work because God moves me to.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I don't know why I'm doing it. You know, and a part of me thinks that I should take it so that I can have the experience of it. But like I used to trip, and I don't know if I could do that. I would be like, I'd be scared to death because, you know, taking.
I don't know if I'd want to play the Russian roulette, you know, for myself.
But they're saying it's not addicting, which I didn't get addicted to acid, but I definitely was different on it. Like I was in the middle of a snowstorm driving through Methuen. I wasn't driving, I was a passenger. And it was snowing, and I started crying. And my friend goes, "What's the matter?" I go, "Oh, we had a nuclear blast. Look at all the ashes coming down." And she's like, "Yeah, that's snow, right?" I'm like, "Oh my God." Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't do well on that stuff.
Yeah, don't have to
So,
live like that anymore.
no, don't have to. So, but that's the whole thing. Like, to be able to do the research that I'm doing and not have the experience. And that's why I want to reach out to people who have had the experience, and I've been putting on Facebook. So I have a few names of individuals that I am reaching out to have this conversation with. Just tell me all about it. What'd you learn from it? How did you recover from it? And B, would you be willing to talk openly about another way to get clean and sober?
Well, I'm confident whatever God's putting on your heart to walk through, you'll come out on the other side, with victory.
I'm pretty embarrassed, but I'm like, you know what? It's His. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, if it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, that's the whole thing about life, right? We have to be willing to try.
Yeah.
It's what is the price to die?
Right.
I want to live, so I'm willing to try.
Right. And if you're going to live, let's have an amazing life. Let's not be just going to another thing to be stuck on, so.
I want to thrive.
Yeah, we do.
I went from surviving to living life, and it was like one of those jobs and the constant circle of what do they say? Oh, I'm living the dream.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to thriving, and thriving's a whole nother experience.
Awesome. So I think there's a way for you to put your information in here. If not, can we do comments? Lou, is she able to type in her information?
Yeah, she can type it in.
Awesome.
It's not giving us a spot to.
Well, I pop up on Facebook really easily.
Yeah, and then I will put it in later. But what I do want to talk about, because we're getting towards the end, is the trifecta. Like, so this is the time of the year where a lot of people relapse because you have Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. And this is the time of year where you might have to go visit your family. For myself, I needed to be away from my family for the first year. They were my triggers. I drank with them. I partied with them. How am I going to be around them and not do it? Which I ended up becoming like the cleaner, like I'd always clean and do the dishes and just put myself someplace active. So we want to talk about, like, what did you do when your first holidays, your first trifecta of coming into trying to stay clean
All
and sober?
I can hear is that song, Under Pressure, coming down on me.
Right?
Oh, man. What did I do? A lot. You know what I mean? I doubled up on meetings.
Yeah.
I always kept my hands busy. Lanyard or GIMP, whatever they call it, the Chinese staircase, the box. I used to do those little keychain things.
Yeah.
So I use that as like a grounding technique.
Yeah.
The stress tolerance was a huge thing for me in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because it was very easy to go 0 to 100.
Yep.
Cold things also help in winter. So iced coffees. I was an iced coffee junkie.
Yeah. Awesome.
Lots of sweets, right? They make that recommendation in the halls to calm the craving.
Fraps and naps, they told me. Fraps and naps. It was chocolate fraps and a lot of naps. I did it all. Yes.
Rather be chunky than junky. I gained a little weight, but you know what? I was clean and sober.
Amen. Amen. Absolutely.
And if you drive, right, take your own car everywhere. Put it someplace where it's easy to like leave.
Yeah.
That way you're not stuck anywhere.
That's a good thing to say. Yes,
I always had that in the front of my mind because I always wanted to make a quick exit. You know, I'm social, but
last
to a point.
Leave. Yeah. Last to show up, first to leave. Yes.
Right. Social to a point, and I want to go recharge in my cave.
Right.
So I did that a lot. And always kept a drink in my hands. I love Shirley Temples. To this day, the Shirley Temple is my favorite drink, and it looks really pretty because it looks like something. People don't ask you if you want something to drink because you already have something in your hand, and that got me through a number of corporate functions in the beginning of sobriety during the holidays.
Yeah.
At corporate functions, things get wild. When you have a Shirley Temple, it's like, nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Right. Nice. Well, that's awesome. And some of the other things, I don't know if you're new and you're not familiar with them. There's things called alkathons, and they're meetings that run 24 hours so that you have a place to go whether it be you just celebrated with your family and you're definitely triggered, you get to go to a meeting. So I'm just going to go over a list of some of the things that we do have. Actually, this weekend, December 3rd, from noon to 3, there is a meeting at Cheshire, Mass. It's the celebration of the three-sided triangle, which is hope, service, and unity. I will be putting that information up. December 10th, there's 2 amazing events. So do you know Jasmine Grace?
Maybe by face.
Jasmine Grace,
Horrible names.
she does a lot with survivors of sex trafficking.
Okay.
So
yes, that's right. Yes.
So she has her event December
Wonderful.
10th at Stillwaters Church in Seabrook, New Hampshire. It's from 5 to 8. You can find it on Eventbrite just by putting in Jasmine Grace Christmas party. I am going. I am
Awesome.
bringing a lot of girls to go because she is near and dear. She actually, January is Sex Trafficking Awareness Month, and she will come share her testimony every year. This will be her 3rd year.
It's powerful. I've heard pieces of it.
Yeah.
It is powerful, and sex trafficking and stuff like that from New York to Lawrence was part of my story. It was heartbreaking. So it's nice to have that resource. It affects a lot more women than we think, and men too, actually.
A lot of men.
Absolutely.
You know, and to get them to talk about it's a little bit harder, although I've tried to you know, have someone come on the show that's male, because I know several, and that they just can't do it, and that's okay. I get it. So she's December 10th, which is the Jasmine Grace Outreach. Also, there's a Sober Shuttle Incorporated, and they are doing their first annual party, and that is on Nickel Street in Everett, Mass. Both of them coincide on December 10th, so I was pulled because they're like, will MVP ASAP come? But I'm really devoted to Jasmine and support her. In Worcester, Mass, on December 24th and 25th, there's an event. There's virtual events that will be on Google. The Friendship Center in Derry, which saved my life when I got sober. It's not the same one, but it's still the Friendship Center. They're on Railroad Ave. They'll be hosting an event December 24th at 6 p.m. and it will go all the way through Christmas evening until 6 p.m. Newport, New Hampshire, Millie's Place is hosting. Lowell Bridge Club, they're having an event in Lowell. Concord, New Hampshire's having one. And then for New Year's Eve, there's a dance in Haverhill. There's a meeting in Salem, New Hampshire, and also Peterborough. So all of this will be on MVP ASAP, CARES Initiative, Essex County. All of these resources will be listed. And if you have an event that I just did not speak of, feel free to private message me any information that you would like posted in regards to a sober resources. And that's really all I have. So I just want to say thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You remind me of Jenny from the block. You even talk like
I wish I had her bank account.
Right? Yeah, right. It was an honor to hear you. And I appreciate you driving all the way from Gloucester to be here with tonight. And again, tonight was dedicated to Mark Zaracket, whose birthday is tomorrow. I love him. I miss him. But I know he's in a far better place than all of us at this time. And then in 3 weeks, you will have Mr. Phil Leahy with Aaron and Doug Griffin. They run a group on Sunday evenings for family members who have lost a loved one.
Okay.
However, everyone's been coming. It's not just families. It's even people that are in active addiction and everything.
Yeah,
so
it touches everyone.
so that's it. So until then, if you're in Methuen on Sunday, we're doing our tree lighting ceremony at the Loop 4 to 8. Come by and see it. And if you feel like donating for my birthday, it's still on MVP ASAP. Definitely want to raise some funds for 2023 to bring in all these speakers that I'm reaching out to so that we can get them here. So
awesome.
Do you have any last words?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just don't pick up no matter what, man. Call someone.
No matter what.
Addiction is connection.
That's right. That's right. So thank you for tuning in tonight. Merry Christmas, because you'll see me next time in January. Lou, thank you for this evening. Thank you all for tuning in. Good night and God bless.
Good night.